What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Cass here, and we are here for another episode of UKW Around the World. And but I don't know what episode we're on. I want to say maybe 5. Hell, I want to say maybe 5.
Probably 5 or 6. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? We didn't even really think it'd get this far. We're here. We're here. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view from PLE, Premium Live Event, from Lyon, France. We're going to be also talking about our weekly match review, which saw WrestleMania's 24's showing, or maybe 23, WrestleMania 24, 23 showing of Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. And I've also got a bit of a hot take on the draft. So we're going to get into all three of those. We're going to actually end with the Ric Flair and Michaels match review. We're going to start with our Backlash predictions. And in the middle, some there will be my thoughts on the draft and why I think this hot take actually makes a lot of sense. So let's get into it. So we do Valente have Lyon, France Backlash this coming up weekend. I believe the pay-per-view might go live at around 12 midday our time. So
Yeah, I think that's what it said.
the belief is that AJ and Cody are going to main event. That's the belief. But also on the card is Damian Priest, Jey Uso, Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton. RKO taking on the Bloodline, and the Kabuki Warriors taking on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And if you're confused, RKO is Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. They have been branded RKO.
Yeah, I'm not confused.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So yeah. Now me and you've been very open the last couple of weeks that we don't see Cody dropping the championship to anybody.
Uh-uh.
I think the match is going to be really good. I'm actually really excited for it. But what I hope is they do something at the end of Backlash to set up something for Cody to do until Rock comes back. Set up something besides just, oh, this person won the number one contender match so they lose to Cody, and this person wins the number one contender match and they lose to Cody. I don't want to do that until Rock comes back. I want there to be like an actual serious story behind this. Maybe AJ, because right now it seems like they've done like a kind of friendly thing. It seems like AJ has almost turned face again in this rivalry with Cody. They did like kind of a contract signing, and our friend Grayson said it well that AJ's really only a heel when he's facing LA Knight. So, because just in general, nobody wants to boo AJ. WWE fans, nobody wants to boo AJ. That's not gonna. So, like Grayson said, it's really like face versus face. So what I would actually like is maybe Cody beats AJ, they go for a handshake, and maybe we lead on to further down the line, like AJ kicks him in the nuts or something, we get a further down the line story. I kind of would like that. Maybe
Yeah, I'm for that too.
because we had talked about this, I believe last week, I believe it was last week, how AJ had said he wanted that really one last big storyline, that one last big like story of his career to really like hang his hat on, and be like, I'm proud of this. So I think maybe like a heel story against Cody, and it's kind of getting to the point. Coming back to that contract signing on SmackDown, it seems like it's just the same thing. Every time Cody's in a rivalry, the person he's in a rivalry with will say, "Oh, I really respected your dad," and all that stuff, and it seems repetitive, and I don't want it to be repetitive.
Well, I mean, that's not his fault though. I mean, like, can't he?
No, it's not his fault. It's WWE's fault for using the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Triple H has recently been like making some pretty questionable decisions on certain things. A lot of good, but then there's certain ones that are questionable. Like we've talked about the whole big, like, oh, we know Cody's not gonna lose until at least The Rock gets his shot.
And like,
Um,
it's me and you could be just looking into that completely differently, because a lot of people have said, well, oh, Cody doesn't have to fight The Rock with the championship on the line. That's totally true. That makes sense, but I don't see. Okay, he got drafted to. He got protectedly drafted to SmackDown because he didn't get drafted. He
The
was
Rock.
no Cody. Cody was a protected pick.
Okay.
Cody was a protected pick to SmackDown. I don't know all of who SmackDown drafted. I could actually pull that up right now. I'm gonna pull up SmackDown's 2024 draft picks so we can go through, because I believe AJ might have got drafted to SmackDown. Okay, these are the complete draft picks for SmackDown that are males that could reasonably challenge for Cody's title, given the right story. Right, everybody could challenge for the title given the right story. You know. So, Logan Paul's the U.S. champion. If he ever dropped, I could see him and Cody doing something. Kevin Owens, Nakamura, Carmelo Hayes. We're going to talk about that. Carmelo actually faced Cody the day Carmelo got drafted, and they had a really big miscommunication towards the end of that match. The match I believe everybody's waiting on, Randy Orton. LA Knight, I feel like people would like as well. And then AJ, and then kind of an underrated pick, but I'm actually excited to see him moving back. I'd like to see maybe Cody and Baron Corbin. Corbin got drafted back to SmackDown, and he's really revitalized his character, kind of like what he's kind of done in NXT with Braun Breaker is molded all of his characters that he had on WWE over the years, like the Lone Wolf and then all that stuff. He's kind of molded, taken what he did best of all of that and molded it together. And I really like the work he's been doing recently with Breaker and NXT. I would like a heel Baron Corbin, heel Baron and Cody. But like none of the names I mentioned are like, oh, they could shockingly beat Cody. Now what would have been crazy is if Melo beat Cody night one of getting drafted. That would have really shook things up. But then you're strapping the rocket to somebody way too early, I think. But I want to get into a bit about the draft. Speaking of the draft, I just like, and I saw this same sentiment shared with a lot of people as well on Twitter and stuff. The draft just did not. I tried to. We were watching the NFL draft, the two of us. By the way, go check out Valente Talk Saints. We did a live reaction to both days of the draft. That's his channel right there. We did live reactions to day 1 and day 2, and not day 3, because who the fuck does day 3? So go check out his stuff.
I watched all of day 3. I just was getting a haircut.
So, yeah, but towards the end of day 1, I switched over and tried to watch the draft.
Day 2.
Was it day 2? Towards the end of day 2, I switched over and tried to watch the draft. And the WWE draft, that is. And it just did not. It didn't keep my attention enough. If they knew they were going to go up against the NFL draft, they had to do something to keep attention, and it didn't keep attention. And I saw that sentiment shared. Now, this is my hot take. And I think going forward, this might be the better decision for WWE to do. A lot of people want to talk about that 2010 to 2013 era of WWE being horrible and all, right? Like that 2010, 20.
I love that girl.
Everybody wants to talk about like that being like the real bad era of WWE. Do you remember how they used to do the drafts? Like how if your respective brand won a match, they got a lottery pick. It was randomized. Yeah. If WWE went back and did something like that, where it was like a complete, like I know it, of course it wouldn't be lottery pick. Oh, with the first we won this massive match, we get R-Truth. Nah, Like, no, it would be still storyline based, but I feel like presenting it as a randomized thing would be better than, because there was even a night I remember where Cena got drafted to SmackDown and then back to Raw the same night,
Yeah.
and I think that would, doing something like that would be really cool, where it makes it completely lottery again, and I feel like that would interest fans a lot more than doing it the way they do now.
I agree with that. I like the old style of draft, and it wasn't like the style of draft this like year. I didn't even watch. I'm not gonna like say that it turned me off. I didn't watch the draft this year, but from what I've seen, a lot of people say it wasn't the style of draft that got them. It was the fact that literally nothing changed.
Um, towards on Raw actually. Here, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. On Raw, a couple of NXT guys got drafted as well as um. Here, I want to talk about this. These are the NXT superstars that got drafted. Let me talk. Google this real quick. NXT super.
Carmelo, Ilya,
Stars.
Roxanne. It's Carmelo, Ilya, Roxanne, and somebody else.
I don't know if
Uh,
Roxanne got drafted. I want to say
Isla
maybe.
Dawn and Alba Fire. Yeah, she did. Not Roxanne. It might not have been Roxanne.
Here we go. The people got called up were Ilya got called up on Raw. Dijak got drafted. And then Baron Corbin got. We just talked about that. Baron Corbin got recalled up. So, a lot of people are excited for the fact that all four of the pillars of NXT UK are now on Raw. Gunther, Ilya, Pete, and Bate. All four of the pillars of NXT UK are now on Raw. So, I saw somebody talking about that on Twitter as well. But I think introducing some of the NXT talent, I was happy with. I watched a clip of Wes Lee come back. Actually, this earlier tonight, while we're recording this Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. Wes Lee came back on NXT, and I was just sitting thinking to myself when I saw Wes Lee come back, that would have been an actual shock draft pick. Like a legit shock draft pick. If WWE really wanted people to invest in the draft, have Wes Lee get drafted to the main roster. Because they could, like, if you don't believe that Wes Lee's going to be that world champion competitor in NXT, like for the NXT world title, he's already been North American champion. Like, there's no reason to have him face Oba. And I think the match is going to cook. I really do think the match will be good, but we'll just have to see. I just think there's a lot of stuff that they could have improved with on the draft. That's all my opinion on it.
I agree with that, yeah.
Now, our last little segment of the period is going to be talking about the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair match, which earned a 4-star rating from us. It's currently sitting in second place behind the original triple threat match. And, yeah, let me pull it up. Yep, it is sitting in second place behind the triple threat match. And in front of the Buddy Murphy Roman match on SmackDown that we watched. Anyway, the match, the reason that we felt like it deserved the 4-star rating it got is even though, me and you talked about this, even though in ring it might have not been good as the Murphy Roman match, like in ring, like where they are as athletes was. Well, Shawn's an incredible athlete, but we're talking about like Rick was very limited in the match and very limited because of his age. But the story that it told, I liked a lot. And to be fair to him, go ahead. Sorry.
it was a really good story that, if you watch the promo leading up to it and stuff,
Which
and
we did, yeah.
everything that went on beforehand, it was a good story. I liked it. Like the story was, at least. If, the story was a 5 star, the match was like a 3 star, so we kind of like put it in the middle.
Um, and I know you haven't seen it, but I judged Flair's performance based off of how far, like how much better he looked in that match against Shawn versus how worse he looked years later in the Ric Flair's last match against Jarrett and Lethal. And you could tell like the age had finally caught up with him. He wasn't the same person anymore. Flair realistically could still have a decent match when he retired against Shawn. There was no reason for him to be in the ring with the Ric Flair's last match. And me and you have actually talked about this. You said if anybody recommends the Ric Flair last match, that's one of the ones you're vetoing. You're not watching it.
I will not watch that, and if you recommend that, you will be banned.
Yeah, because it's not even like, it's just sad. Because somebody is so addicted and loves what they did so much that they're willing to just completely destroy the rest of their like bodies and legit wanting to like die in ring. It's crazy.
It's dumb. It was such a bad match, too. Matter of fact, just so y'all don't fucking request it, 1 star.
To be fair, when Jarrett and Flair won the outside, and Jay Lethal and Andrade were actually in the ring, it was decent. But there was nothing like, there was no reason for that match to have ever happened. But call a spade a spade. Flair I actually really liked the match there against Michaels. Now, we've got currently recommended to us 5 different matches we could look at. And, Valente, I see you have your phone near you. That does, in fact, be an iPhone, does it not?
See?
So ask Siri to randomly pick a number 1 through 5, please.
A number 1 through 5.
It's 4. Okay, the match that we'll be reacting to for next week's episode, Valente, is going to be Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker at No Way Out 2006. So we finally get to react to a Kurt Angle match. And so
Who requested that, do you know?
I believe that might have been Draven. Because Dakota requested Brett Austin. Grayson requested Kari Banks. Kari Monet. TLC was you. Christian Orton was me. Yeah. Draven was Angle. Draven was Angle Taker. Yeah. So we'll watch Angle Taker next week. See how it ranks. And then after that, we'll unless we get more requests, we're gonna pick out of those next 4 and keep on moving on. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the talking about the draft, our opinions on the draft, our predictions for WrestleMania Backlash. Jesus Christ.
It's not called that no more?
Nah, it's Backlash. It's just Backlash.
Uh-huh.
Backlash from Lyon, France, and I don't know. I haven't determined. Depends on when I wake up if I do live reactions for that. I don't know if I am or not, but we'll see. If I'm up and I feel like it, we'll do live reactions for it. If not, we'll talk about it on the next episode of the Around the World podcast. The number 1 short form podcast. Get all your wrestling opinions from two loudmouths that know nothing about what we're talking about. So we'll see you guys next. No. Scratch that. We'll see you guys this Friday for UKW Renegade, and then Valente Jazz Hands. We'll see you this Monday for the Royal Gauntlet, live from New Orleans. Deuces. Who dat?